when I got into this profession, I coached because I love basketball. There was no other reason. That was it. I just loved the game so much. I was done playing and didn't know, where I was going to go or what I was going to do. And I was playing pickup ball at an um, outdoor court, and the dad of a kid who I knew a little bit, the dad played pickup with us too. He was a guy named Jay Johnson, who's passed away, and he just talked so much trash, but everybody liked him. And he came up to me one day and he said, "Hey, would you be interested in getting into coaching?" And I said, I don't know, maybe. He said, "Well, my son's school, Sidwell Friends in Washington, D.C., a private school, is looking for a JV coach." And so, I said, what the heck? I wasn't making any money. I wasn't doing anything significant. So I went over there and applied for the job and got it and fell in love with it right away. And what I love about it was the relationships, with the young people, and they listen to you, with intensity. And so I didn't consciously realize it at the time, but that look that they gave me in terms of listening and, almost blindly trusting was something that, I came to understand was important with my faith, because now I had them where I wanted them, and I had their attention. I had their focus, and so that allowed me to understand. You know what? You can lead them in whichever way that you want to. And fortunately for me, I was led by my father and my mother, particularly my father, in terms of doing the right thing and being the right type of person. And so I felt, this could be good. We've got a lot of young people out here who, are doing some wild stuff. I was one of them at one time, but I still had a center and I had a base that kept bringing me back to home, and that base was Christ. And so I knew that when I got into coaching, I could use that to my advantage to help the people that, came to me on my basketball team. And so when I got into it, I was young. Sometimes when we're young, we don't think we need Christ. We think we can just go have fun, and, Christ is, he's over here, but I'm doing this over here. And I was at that time in my life where, I was young and kind of wild, but like I say, I had this base that kept me where I needed to be. And so when I got into coaching, it helped me reconnect with that base. And, I started to, be more faithful, to go to church more consistently, and because I knew I had this great responsibility. But it wasn't until I was a head coach at Radford that I really locked in on my why. And it has, it came to me, we were playing Siena in a bracket buster. Everybody remembers those bracket buster games. So we were playing this bracket buster game, and, I thought it was a bonehead decision late in the game. We had the game where I think we were up 2 with under a minute to go, and we had a side out of bounds, and I decided to draw up something new to get the ball in bounds. Well, we ended up getting a little quick 5-second count. I'm still mad at the referee, but we got a 5-second count. Siena scored, forced overtime. We lose in overtime. So I'm on the plane on the way back, and I brought this book with me for some reason. This book is called Lead for God's Sake by Todd Gongwer. And, on that plane, I was distraught, and I started reading this book for whatever reason. And when I got through the book a couple of days later, it all just kind of hit home. For any of you who have read this book, it basically talks about the story of a janitor who, people look down on janitors, or, they don't give them the respect that they're due, but they're human beings just like we are. And so this janitor worked in his high school, and it turns out that his faith was incredible, and he ministered to a lot of the students without anyone really understanding that or knowing that. And the coach at the school was very successful, but all he cared about was winning and losing. And I thought that God was speaking to my heart, that that's who I was. I was this coach who All I cared about was wins and losses. And, I don't want to give the book away, but basically the coach comes to understand that the janitor is more powerful in this school than he is, in spite of all his championships, because the janitor actually cared for the people that were coming into his life. And so it just spoke directly to me. From that point on, I subconsciously knew that was my calling, to help these young people that were in my care. But again, we get distracted by the wins and the losses. So there's another book called um, Counterfeit Gods. And so winning had become a god to us. Winning had become a god to me. And so this book, Lead for God's Sake, brought me back to, what? You are putting God wins before God, and you have to refocus your life on, God. My dad told me something that he had never told me until I was in my 40s. He said, the scripture that changed his life was Matthew 6:33. And Matthew 6:33 says, just basically, hey, focus on God and God only, and everything else will be taken care of. Give all your attention to God. And this is how I try to lead my life now. I just try to, get rid of all the distractions and keep my focus singularly on God. And when that happens, everything seems to fall in place. And our world is a pressure world. Our world is a world that is dictated by how many wins you have versus how many losses. But at the end of the day, those things really aren't that important, and we have to really keep our focus where it needs to be, which is squarely on God.